Practice 10 this afternoon. Full practice. Got a lot we got to do this afternoon. So, looking forward to getting out there. We'll do a lot of red zone stuff, a lot of 2-point stuff, 2-minute stuff, a lot of situational stuff, which I'm excited about. Still got a long ways to go. I mean, you go practice 10, we're a third of the way there, but we still got 3.5 weeks. So there's going to be a lot of downtime moving forward as well. But guys are in a good spot, practicing hard, and we will back off of them tomorrow after a long week, and then Friday at noon, which is going to change the media schedule slightly, but Friday at noon we will scrimmage, try to get about 100-play scrimmage in on Friday. After that, there's probably 2 more full practices and a scrimmage, and that's about it before we start getting into school and mock week and game week and all that. So still worried about us this week, still worried about us next week, and then we'll get into Virginia Tech and try to get into a routine the following 2 weeks. So other than that, not a whole lot of updates, honestly. Marvin Gross and I will answer your first question, Coach. Marvin Gross and Corey Winfield had successful surgeries. They'll be out for a couple of weeks, expecting them back quick. And other than that, David Long and Butchie Grossi are progressing nicely. So don't have a exact day when they're going to come back, but they're both progressing nicely. Questions?
You've talked about red zone in the past. You're going to work on it now. How do you improve on that other than just rep the heck out of it?
Yeah, just getting. I said this a lot last year. We've settled for too many field goals the last 2 years. Our run game down there I thought has been good. Our pass game down there has not been good. Skyler wasn't. He wasn't. His strength was not sitting in the pocket and throwing balls into very, very tight spaces, which red zone, the closer you get, the tighter the spaces, the tighter the coverage is. I don't think we've had a dominant receiver inside the 10 either. So, Kevin was, Stedman was. We haven't had that guy. Do we have it now? I like what I see out of Karan and Gary and David, because they're bigger guys and they can make catches when they got people all over them, all over them, because you're going to be covered. There's going to be tight space, and I think Will is pretty good in tight spaces as well. So a lot of practice, and then personnel has something to do with that as well. I expect our run game to continue to be like it was. But we got to get a little better in the pass game down there. And we've been working a lot on field goals. Field goals is obviously a part of the game, but we need to get more touchdowns down there.
What about the main kid? I noticed he's 6'5". Could he help you there?
Has not. In one-on-ones, he's shown some flashes. One-on-ones down on the red zone, he's shown some flashes of being able to make some plays when he's covered. That has to start translating into 11-on-11, and it hasn't yet. He's still relatively raw. He's got a red shirt in 2 years. He's young, hasn't played a lot of ball, so he just needs to continue to work hard and get better. Haven't seen it in 11-on-11. Until I see it in 11-on-11, he's not going to be playing on Saturday. There's more to it than just being 6'5". There's technique, there's strength, there's a lot of things that go into it. 6'5" helps.
How is the technique of the receivers? Do you like where they're at right now?
I do. I think Carrier does a really good job at that. I think he does a real good job of staying on the guys as far as using their hands and their position and their feet and their space. And I still don't think we're where we need to be from a timing perspective when it comes to the top 4 guys, which I've mentioned, plus Kennedy. I would put Kennedy in that equation because he's a very multi-purpose back that can. You've seen what he can do in the backfield. You probably haven't seen a lot of what he can do in the slot like we did with Wendell when Wendell was a sophomore. He does a fine job of that, so I'm trying to get him in the mix. The timing aspect of it, I'm not real comfortable with. The technique aspect of it with those guys, I'm very pleased with. I think Tyron's done a great job with that. Still need backup receivers to emerge, which haven't seen that yet. The likes of Drew Bowen and Will Crest and Dom Maiden and Reggie and Ricky Rogers. I haven't seen those guys push the starters yet, like I was hoping that they would.
Is Isaiah Hardy in camp yet?
He'll be here first day of school. There's there isn't, and we didn't really rush him. If we would have rushed him, we could have probably brought him a little earlier, but he needs. For an O-line that shows up now, it was hard for Rasul at corner to show up mid-camp and get snaps out of him. Can you imagine what it's like for an O-lineman? It's impossible. So he's got a red shirt in 2 years. So we're anticipating him to show up when school starts and spend a year and learn how things go and get in shape. And he's got a lot of work to do moving forward.
Tackle or guard, maybe both?
I don't know. He's huge. I don't know. I don't care. Get him in the. Didn't care about Glowinski either when he got here at this time. That's who Duda compares him to a little bit. Just a guy that will be a developmental guy, O-line developmental guy. I certainly wished. We need some linemen. I wished we could have a guy show up and be able to slide him in there. That's not reality, ever, for that spot.
You're getting to that point in camp where usually you get the lull from the guys or you get to the monotony. Have you seen that yet from your team, or are they still...
In spurts when we're not going live. We've had 2 uppers practices where it's all controlled. I've seen some lethargic play. I don't, they've always came back from that and played juiced up when it counts, so I have no concerns at this point.
You've been around football your whole life, and the talent on this team, understanding a lot goes into the season, but how good can this team be?
Don't know yet. We have guys that have talent, but everybody we play have guys that have talent. So the talent aspect of it is on par for what we've had the last couple of years. I'm still working through the chemistry aspect of it. That's what wins games. I think we'll have a couple of guys that get drafted and have an opportunity to play at the next level, like we've had for the last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years since I've been here, I guess. A handful here and a handful there, as much as anybody in the Big 12. But that doesn't just win games. Everybody's got good players. There's a coaching aspect of it. There's a chemistry aspect of it. There's a little luck that goes into it. Got to have the ball bounce your way a little bit. So got to expect good things to happen. Make your own luck, that sort of thing. But I like the team's chemistry right now. But how is the team going to go when there's adversity? I don't know yet. I haven't hit that yet. We will quick.
What are your concerns on the offensive line?
Just depth more than anything. Just depth. Trying to bring backups along. We don't Yadney's doing good, and Colton's doing good, and Matt Jones is snapping the ball well, and he needs to continue to improve, and a couple older guards that think they have the answers a lot, but they need to practice like the rest of them. And then there's developmental guys, that need to come on. Kelby's still young; he needs to come on, and Rollerson needs to be a backup center. We're going to get Butchie Grossi back, be a center. They need to continue to improve, and Chase and Sills. the backups is where my concern lies, probably more than anything. They need to improve and be ready to go when we need them to go.
The addition of the analyst on both sides of the ball, is that something that you've already seen a benefit of, or do you really notice when the advanced scouting stuff starts rolling in?
Yeah, we're not, I mean, we don't really have anything to self-scout at this point. We're just installing and logging reps and teaching technique and all that. So they're I'm going to send them probably to some NFL camps here in the next couple of weeks and, just learn ball. Just the more knowledge they can absorb. They watch a lot of NFL tape. I mean, they're obviously ahead. I mean, we have scouting reports on Virginia Tech, East Carolina, and Delaware State right now. Where it's really, really, really going to make a difference for our coaches is when they come in here on Sunday morning and they get the game over with on Sunday and they got to turn the page and move on. That's where it's going to be. That's where it's going to be awesome. I mean, last year I took 5 years off my life on Monday mornings trying to hurry up and catch up to get ahead on the opponent and figure out who they are, not just offensively, but I had to kind of know what was going on special teams and defense as well. It was hard, and to have these guys be able to sit down on Sunday night. I go to bed Sunday night where I would be usually probably Monday night, from an information point of view. So that's just going to get us ahead and get us moving on to game planning and preparing for Tuesdays. It's going to be important. I don't see a huge impact right now, but once game week hits, it's going to be big.
Curious, are you a big analytics guy? I mean, you watch a baseball game and it's like you look at these stats and they're like absurd. And I know it's getting that way in college football with all these services. Are you a big analytical guy?
I like it when the infield moves from second and like they're both over here on second base. They move that shortstop all the way over to second base, and the second baseman's kind of out there in right field a little bit, and the third baseman's kind of got the hold. That's pretty good stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, in your game,
you're talking about football analytics.
In your game now, in the analytics now, you see all these services now, and I know people are subscribing to them, and what to do on 3rd and 1 in certain situations. You buy any of that yet?
A little bit. We study it, and I mean, we have the numbers when it comes to whether you should go for it, whether you should go for 2, whether you should punt it, whether you should, I mean, we have the numbers. It's still a feel thing for me in football. I mean, you got to kind of understand how the sideline is and how the kicker is and how your offense is doing and how the defense is playing. I mean, there's stats and percentages that we have and we look at. I'm not ready to turn it over to that. Not nearly like baseball is. And I have studied baseball quite a bit like that. It's very fascinating. I don't know if it gets to the offense or defense or special teams aspect of it yet.
Are you guys using a service this year?
That's why we hired analysts. I mean, they're our service. As opposed to paying $50,000 to get a service, we bought a human. 3 of them.
That's a sentence that out of context will be amazing.
Any good and bad defensively from what you've seen from them? What do you
A lot of depth on the D-line, a lot of competition. That's good. Same thing at corner. I mean, you look at safeties, we got so much experience, and linebacker, we got so much experience, and everybody's like, well, corner and D-line, how you gonna? We got a lot of people to be able to play. So there's a lot of competition, which is good. We're anxiously awaiting some of these guys to step up and take control of those positions.
With more time this year, when do you start looking and narrowing down those redshirt decisions?
Once we get scout teams involved, which really not going to do that until school starts. And then we have additional, players coming in once school starts, so mock week is really when we do that. That whole mock week will be 100% scout teams, will be 100% game planning for Virginia Tech, and, that's when you got to make those decisions. So, we'll hit this scrimmage this Friday, and then we got another scrimmage the following I think Friday or Saturday, and then after that scrimmage, we'll be ready to make decisions.
Since it was such a rousing success in previous years, will we be able to watch any of the scrimmage?
No. I don't remember doing that.
Ken, would you have preferred to have a game before the Virginia Tech game, or?
Nah, I like where it's at. I like where it's at. You know, we've talked about these neutral site games, me and Shane have talked about it a lot, and the Alabama game was, we had a chance to win, and there was a lot of juice going into that game, and we felt a little short, and, even then I felt like that gave us confidence going into game 2 and 3. Great for the fan base. You guys know how big it's going to be. Our players really don't quite know how big it's going to be. We're starting to give them some nuggets here and there about, what to expect when it comes to that. The closer we get, the more information we're going to give them. But it makes camp. Every time I start kind of looking at tired faces or whatever when we start our meetings and all that, I remind them what that first game is going to be.
I asked that kind of because Nealon in his book said that the 2 things he would have changed probably was opening with Nebraska and Ohio State, the two years he did, and that didn't work out real well either time. That's the only reason.
Did they opened with them?
Yeah, they opened with them.
Did they open with Oklahoma that year?
They opened with Oklahoma 1 year.
How'd that work? Yeah, I like a big first game, because that gets you your mentality through summer, through camp. It keeps you motivated pretty quick. I think we got Tennessee. Is that game 1 in 18, and then Florida State game 1 in 20. So I'm all about them. I mean, I like the first game, and the fan base is all excited. That opening weekend's great, and ticket sales are awesome. So I'm on board with it.
Danny, you hinted at it. How do you tap into the history that a lot of even your coaches may not, but certainly your players don't know a lot about the series?
Players don't know anything. I mean, it's been 2005, so it's our job each and every week to educate our players on who their opponent is. So we'll start doing that once it's close. You got to be careful about. I've said this a lot. You got to be careful about overplaying an opponent for too long. You got to be careful about that. We're careful about that in bowl games, and I thought we've done a good job here over the last 6 seasons. We're 5-1 on openers, and we played good in the one we lost. So don't overkill it. Make sure you worry about you, and then get you to where you can start gradually introducing your opponent, and they will know exactly what to expect. I think we got a good handle on that.
Any update on Javon or same old?
No update. No comment.